Hello, Epiphany. It is good to see you today. I was surprised to find when I opened my Bible, Gospel of John, we finished chapter 1. We plowed right through that. And now we're on to chapter 2. So I hope you're doing well. I've been thinking about you and praying for you. And I've been wondering, I left you with a question yesterday. Well, two, really. What are you noticing in the world around you? What things are coming into sight that you haven't seen before? In this time of slowing down and this time of less entertainment, at least conventional entertainment, in this time of sitting at home a little bit more, what are you seeing out the window? What are you observing with the neighbors? What are you seeing in your own life? And I'm hearing from a lot of you, and I'm finding out a lot of you are reaching out to people in all sorts of ways, Facebook and by phone and email. And in your reaching out, how are you bearing witness to the reality of what God's doing in the world? That in this time of Corona, when you meet a neighbor that is a good and honorable and lovely secular Seattle type, were you to say to them, I have the Corona, the COVID-19 virus, they couldn't say to you in all honesty, well, you'll be okay. But you know, as Christians, we always can say that. We can always say you'll be okay because our perspective is God's perspective. It's the kingdom of God perspective. It's the perspective that pushes beyond the boundaries of death if that was where the soul was to be so drawn. And so we always have good news because we have this extraordinary God and we have this person, Jesus Christ, that does amazing things. Hold on to that. Meditate on that reality where the bad thing is never the last thing. So, chapter 2, Gospel of John, the wedding at Cana. I love this one. A great story. I'll read it. On the third day, there was a wedding in Cana of Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. When the wine gave out, the mother of Jesus said to him, they have no wine. And Jesus said to her, woman, what concern is that to you and to me? My hour has not yet come. Do whatever he tells you, his mother said to the servants. Now standing there were 6 stone water jars for the Jewish rite of purification, each holding 20 or 30 gallons. Jesus said to them, fill the jars with water, and they filled them to the brim. He said to them, now draw some water out and take it to the chief steward. So they took it out, and when the steward tasted the water that had become wine, and did not know where it came from, though the servants who had drawn it knew. The steward called the bridegroom and said to him, everyone serves the good wine first, and then the inferior wine after the guests have become drunk. But you have kept the good wine until now. Jesus did this, the first of his signs, in Cana of Galilee, and revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. Now, friends, we're going to take this in 2 parts. We're going to talk a little bit about this story today, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about it tomorrow. But it's interesting. So Jesus and his disciples had been in Bethany, in Bathania, and they got an invitation. And Mary came down from presumably Nazareth to Cana, which is to the west, sort of southwest of Nazareth. And Jesus came with his disciples, probably down through Capernaum, and a straight road right across to Cana, where they had been invited to a wedding. And the wine gave out. Now that's pretty bad news, right? That's a little bit embarrassing. Imagine on a Sunday morning if we ran out of wine at the Eucharist table. Imagine if you had guests over to your house and you ran out of wine. I mean, this is sort of that on a massive scale. Because when a wedding happened, the community was invited. Like everybody came and they partied like crazy for days. And the wine ran out and people would look around and they'd wonder, what happened to this guy, right? What ill fortune is this going to cast on the newly married couple? Jesus' mother says to him, they have no wine. And Jesus says, woman. Now to us that can sound sort of funny, but the way it's written in Aramaic or in Greek, woman is sort of like a term of respect, right? Honor. Woman. We see this later when he's with the Samaritan woman at the well, right? This is a term of honor and respect. What concern is that to you and to me? Like, it's not our thing, right? We didn't draw the inventory out on this particular party. And the mother says to the servants, do whatever he tells you. Now I'm gonna stop here. Do whatever he tells you. Now you have to remember, Mary's been with Jesus all of his life. She has seen how he works. Remember we talked yesterday or the day before about how Jesus is always very present in the moment, and he is always listening to the guidance of God, right? So there he is, and he's in the moment, and he doesn't hear anything from God on what to do. He said, so this is not about me, Mom, and this is not about you. This is about something else, and I'm not going to act on it until that's something else, till that God calls me to. And so Mary has seen this. She's seen it a ton of times with her son. And so she says to the servants, even anticipating what God may be doing here, right? He says, do whatever he says. It's interesting that a wedding is the first place where Jesus does a miracle in the Gospel of John. And he does this because it is a sign of the covenant relationship that exists between God and humanity, as if we are married to God, right? Bound to God in a perpetual celebration of God's glorious and wonderful abundance. I invite you to meditate on that, meditate on covenant relationships that you may find yourself in. And we'll continue on with chapter 2 and the wedding feast at Cana tomorrow. Take care, be safe, keep clean. Know you're in my prayers. Know that I love you, and peace upon your soul.